Why Scorpio is both your greatest ally and your darkest fear. There's something about Scorpio that people never forget. It's not always what they say, often. They say very little. It's not how they dress or how they act. They may even seem unassuming at first. But once you stood in the presence of a true Scorpio, something deep inside you remembers. A quiet intensity, a magnetic pull, a sharp intuition that cuts through the room like a blade cloaked in velvet. Scorpios don't just enter your life, they enter your spirit. And that's what makes them dangerous. But what does dangerous really mean? In a world full of superficial smiles, cheap flattery, and hidden intentions, Scorpios are dangerous not because they are evil, cruel, or malicious, but because they see. They see through masks. They see through false promises. And most terrifying of all, they see you, even when you don't want to be seen. They don't just walk with intensity, they are intensity. They are not loud, but they're silent screams. They are not impulsive, but when they strike, it's already too late. They don't react, they transform. And that's why the world both fears and reveres them. Telescope the Scorpio archetype, more than just a zodiac sign. In astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, secrets, transformation, and power. This is not coincidence. Pluto's energy is slow, deep, and unstoppable. It governs everything beneath the surface: trauma, rebirth, obsession, healing, and destruction. Pluto doesn't ask for change. It demands it. That same energy lives inside the Scorpio soul. To understand Scorpio is to understand what it means to be broken and rebuilt, to be betrayed and to become wiser, to suffer in silence and to rise, silently, stronger than before. Scorpio isn't about destruction for chaos' sake. It's about breaking illusions to reveal what's real. That's the true danger of Scorpio. They don't play with shadows. They become them, but not to bring harm, to bring truth. In Buddhist teachings, there's a concept known as dukkha, the suffering that comes from clinging to illusions, to ego, to comfort. Scorpio, more than any other sign, embodies the spiritual warrior who walks straight into dukkha, not to avoid it, but to conquer it. They do not fear pain, loss, or endings. They live through them, and from those ashes, they rebuild with more clarity, more purpose, and more power. Magnifying glass tilted left a lifetime of observation. Over the past 15 years of studying astrology, I've sat with countless people, business leaders, spiritual seekers, broken lovers, survivors of abuse, many of whom were either Scorpios themselves or deeply impacted by one. Again and again, the same pattern emerged. You never forget a Scorpio. They are the friend who senses you're lying before you say a word. The lover who holds your secrets closer than your breath. The enemy who never raises their voice but removes you like a shadow at sunset. Some say they're cruel. Others say they're angels. The truth? Scorpios are mirrors. They reflect back what you give them. Love them deeply, and you'll receive devotion beyond imagination. Cross them, and you'll meet a silence that breaks your soul. Balance scale duality and depth. The paradox of Scorpio. Scorpio is a paradox. They're ruled by both the scorpion and the phoenix. One stings to protect. The other burns to rise again. This duality is key. They're the most loyal protectors until trust is broken. They are soft-hearted, but would never let you see them cry. They crave intimacy, yet push people away when they feel unsafe. They are both deep lovers and dangerous opponents. Both healers and punishers. Both light and shadow. It's not that they want to be dangerous, it's that life made them this way. And perhaps that's why so many people misunderstand Scorpio. They confuse silence with weakness, calm with passivity, mystery with manipulation. But Scorpio never seeks to be feared, they simply seek to survive in a world that has often failed them. Light bulb what you'll learn in this video. In this deep dive journey, we will go far beyond the surface level traits of Scorpio and explore what truly makes them the most dangerous sign in the zodiac, not because of violence, but because of vision. Not because of ego, but because of evolution. We'll explore 12 deeply revealing reasons, supported by real-life stories, spiritual commentary, and a psychological lens, including their ability to see through lies and sense danger, their reputation for silent but irreversible revenge, their emotional resilience that turns pain into power, their mastery of psychological warfare and strategy, their obsessive loyalty and karmic justice. Each reason is not just a warning, it's a reflection. Because inside all of us is a Scorpio part, the shadow self that knows pain, that carries secrets, and that demands truth. This video will not only help you understand Scorpios, it will help you understand the part of yourself that lives in fear, fights for justice, and longs to transform. Reason 1. Scorpios can see through you, literally. There are people who listen to your words. Then there are Scorpios who see your soul. Unlike other signs that require time, stories, or explanations to understand people, Scorpio walks into a room and feels you. Their emotional radar is unparalleled. It's as if they were born with a built-in lie detector, not one based on technology, but something far more terrifying. Intuition sharpened by pain, instinct refined by experience, and silence trained to observe what noise often hides. This isn't just astrology, it's spiritual psychology in action. Scorpio energy belongs to the fixed water element, which isn't just deep, it's still, silent, and vast like the bottom of an ocean where ancient creatures live, undisturbed and watchful. While others hear the conversation, Scorpio sees the contradiction between your smile and your silence. Brain real-life example. Years ago, I worked with a Scorpio woman named Eliza in a consulting firm. She was the quiet type, never interrupted, never raised her voice, and rarely attended after-work hangouts. But one day, a major internal conflict erupted between two senior teams. Accusations flew, secrets surfaced, and everyone was scrambling for cover. It was Eliza, silent, composed Eliza, who walked straight to the director's office and calmly handed him a full report with names, timestamps, chat screenshots, and behavioral patterns she had tracked for months. No one saw it coming. She didn't guess. She knew. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't ego. It was justice served by someone who had been watching while others had been talking. Person Lotus position spiritual insight. From a Buddhist perspective, mindfulness and awareness are keys to liberation. Scorpio channels this awareness not to detach, as monks might, but to prepare, to defend, to guard. Their stillness is not apathy, it's focused presence. They do not waste time reacting emotionally because they are busy absorbing everything. And when the time comes to act, it's too late for anyone to undo the truth they've uncovered. In relationships, this trait makes Scorpios nearly impossible to deceive. You might succeed in lying to a Leo's pride, a Gemini's curiosity, or even a Cancer's heart, but not a Scorpio's instincts. You can dress it up with flattery, or fake smiles, or speak in poetic riddles. It doesn't matter. If a Scorpio loves you, they know when something inside you shifts, even when you don't. Reason 2. Revenge is not a reaction. It's an art. Let's make one thing clear. Scorpio does not believe in petty vengeance. Their revenge isn't about emotional gratification. It's about balance, karmic balance. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Scorpios do not react when you expect them to. They do not lash out in the heat of betrayal. Instead, they observe, withdraw, and wait. And that waiting, days, weeks, even years, is what transforms their response into an event. Something planned, intentional, and hauntingly unforgettable. Other signs may shout. Scorpio writes a silent letter, in permanent ink, and mails it to your karma. Fire a chilling example. A friend of mine once dated a Scorpio man, Jason. When she cheated on him, she expected the usual chaos, confrontation, tears, maybe a scene. Instead, Jason simply nodded and disappeared. No calls, no texts, no closure. She told herself he must have moved on. But over the next 6 months, she lost her job. Jason had quietly informed HR about company violations she once bragged about, lost several mutual friends who suddenly turned cold, and had her darkest secret shared on a podcast anonymously. Of course, he never spoke her name again, but she felt his shadow every day. This isn't about cruelty, it's about intention. Scorpio's revenge isn't meant to hurt randomly. It's meant to teach, to restore a universal balance they believe was disturbed. Person Lotus position Buddhist reflection. In Buddhism, there is a saying, do not repay hate with hate, repay hate with patience and wisdom. This is where Scorpio treads a fine line. When unhealed, they can slip into obsession or vindictiveness. But when conscious, their discipline becomes a mirror, reflecting to others the exact weight of their actions. Their silence becomes a teacher. Their distance becomes a karmic lesson. This emotional detachment is the secret to their power. They do not seek revenge because they are weak. They seek it when necessary because they believe justice must be complete. They don't need the world to know they won. They only need you to know. Reason 3. They are emotionally indestructible. When life hits hard, most people bend, break, or shatter. But Scorpio? They transform. What makes Scorpio emotionally dangerous isn't the fact that they feel too little. It's that they feel everything, yet remain standing when others collapse. Their heart has been cracked, betrayed, and bruised, but every wound becomes part of their armor. Every tear, a sharpening of their sword. They do not collapse under betrayal. They absorb it, study it, and then rise stronger, colder, and more focused. You can drown a Cancer in grief, blind a Leo with pride, or scatter a Gemini with chaos. But try to break a Scorpio, and they'll become fire. This resilience comes not from denial, but from Scorpio's natural relationship with death and rebirth. They are ruled by Pluto, the god of the underworld, the one who knows that all things must end to begin again. What others call emotional suppression, Scorpios call sacred protection. They process pain privately, quietly, but not passively. Fire real-life story. I knew a Scorpio man, Marcus, whose fiancée cheated on him weeks before their wedding. He didn't yell. He didn't beg. He disappeared. For a year, no one heard from him, not even his closest friends. When he returned, he had moved cities, changed careers, learned fluent Japanese, and opened a therapy practice specializing in betrayal recovery. That's the power of Scorpio pain. It either destroys you or rebirths you. And Marcus chose to become a healer from the very same wound that could have buried him. Person Lotus Position Buddhist Perspective. The Buddha taught, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame. Scorpio lives this principle, not because they don't feel, but because they know feeling is not the same as falling. Their strength is forged through fire, just like tempered steel. It's spiritual alchemy in action. And when a Scorpio chooses not to be broken, nothing can break them. Reason 4, they weaponize pain and use it with purpose. For many people, pain is a prison. For Scorpio, pain is fuel. When they're wounded, they don't lash out in desperation. They calculate. They redirect. They upgrade. Where most run from pain, Scorpio sits with it until it reveals the weapon they were meant to wield. This is not bitterness. It's not cruelty. It's focus. Scorpio turns every emotional blow into a clearer version of who they are and who they can never trust again. They may forgive, eventually, but they never forget. Not because they want revenge, but because they honor the lessons that pain brings. Crossed Swords personal example. A Scorpio woman named Olivia, whom I met in a trauma recovery group, shared how she was emotionally abused for years by a manipulative partner. She was gaslit, isolated, and told that her instincts were wrong. But she kept a journal. Every word, every contradiction, every broken promise. After walking away, she published a best-selling book that became a guide for survivors. She didn't just survive. She built a map for others to follow. And that's Scorpio at their best. They don't just escape pain. They weaponize it into purpose, art, wisdom, or strength. What tried to end them becomes the foundation of their next level. Person Lotus Position Zen Wisdom. There is a Zen phrase. The obstacle is the path. This is the essence of Scorpio's danger and beauty. They do not resent pain, they require it. Because they know it is only through pain that truth is revealed, power is earned, and transformation is possible. Other signs may avoid suffering. Scorpio chooses to walk through it, and that is why you should never underestimate them. Reason 5, Masters of Psychological Warfare. Scorpios do not dominate through loudness or brute force. They conquer through psychological precision. They are the grandmasters of the unseen game, the kind of people who can sit in silence, listen to you speak for 5 minutes, and walk away knowing your fears, weaknesses, and secret desires. They don't need to argue to win. They just need to observe. And while you're shouting, defending, or boasting, they're planting thoughts you won't realize were never yours. Scorpio doesn't outtalk you. They outthink you 5 moves ahead. Unlike signs that react emotionally during conflict, Scorpio withdraws. They go quiet. And in that silence, something is happening. Calculations, memory playback, subtle facial readings, and intuitive predictions. By the time you realize you're in a battle, the outcome is already decided. Brain True Story, the silent strategist. I once coached a corporate leadership team where 2 department heads were locked in ongoing political battles. One of them, a Scorpio woman named Priya, rarely spoke during meetings. The other, a fire sign, dominated every conversation, often interrupting, bragging, and making power plays. In less than 6 months, Priya had reorganized her team quietly with triple the performance output, built silent alliances with legal and compliance teams, documented every overreach by her rival. One day, she presented a full restructuring proposal with undeniable evidence of mismanagement. The room voted unanimously in her favor. The other manager was removed by the quarter's end. She didn't fight loud. She fought smart. She didn't play the game. She designed it. Person Lotus Position Zen Teaching. There's a Zen proverb that says, "The wise one speaks last, and only if necessary." This is Scorpio's advantage. They know that real power doesn't come from dominating the room. It comes from knowing the room, reading the energy, and understanding the hidden rules. That's what makes them masters of emotional chess, while others play checkers with ego and impulse. Reason 6. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's complete control. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They fill it with nervous laughter, constant explanations, or small talk. But Scorpio? They own the silence. They use it as a weapon, as a shield, as a mirror. Their quiet presence can make even the most confident person second-guess themselves. Not because they're trying to intimidate, but because they radiate awareness. And nothing is more unsettling than someone who sees you without reacting. Scorpio's silence isn't awkward. It's loaded. Sometimes, saying nothing is the most powerful thing you can do. And no one understands this better than Scorpio. They know that in stillness, truth rises. In restraint, power builds. And in silence, people reveal themselves often more than they ever intended. Muted speaker story. The interview that changed everything. A friend of mine, a hiring manager, told me about an interview with a Scorpio applicant. After the usual questions, the applicant, let's call her Dana, paused, looked her in the eyes, and simply said, "You already know I'm the best fit. The question is, are you ready to handle someone who won't be managed with fear?" She said it with such calm, direct energy that the entire interview panel went silent. Dana was hired, and within a year, she was leading the team that once interviewed her. That's the Scorpio effect. They don't need to raise their voice. They just exist differently, and the room adjusts to them. Person Lotus Position Buddhist Parallel. In meditation, silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of clarity. Scorpios live in this mental space. They are not silent because they have nothing to say. They are silent because they are choosing when to speak, and why. Just as the Buddha taught his disciples to observe before reacting, Scorpio uses silence as a form of mastery over themselves and over others. Reason 7. Obsessive devotion to the loyal. If you earn a Scorpio's trust, you found something rare and unshakable, a protector, a confidant, a warrior who would walk through fire to defend you. But this loyalty isn't casual. It's fierce. It's obsessive. And it's built on a sacred bond. To be loved by a Scorpio is to be claimed completely. This devotion isn't conditional on convenience. Scorpios don't show up only when it's easy. They show up when it's dangerous. When everyone else runs. When you're at your lowest. That's when Scorpio stands beside you, saying nothing, but holding the ground like a fortress. They are intensely private, but once you're in their inner circle, you're under their protection. They'll keep your secrets like scripture. They'll defend your name like their own. And they'll give you more loyalty in 1 year than some give in a lifetime. But that loyalty demands something in return. Truth. Respect. Integrity. Shield true story. The Shield. I once witnessed a Scorpio man, Raphael, confront a senior executive who was trying to take credit for a junior colleague's project, a colleague who had once helped Raphael during a personal crisis. In the middle of a board meeting, Raphael stood up, presented private emails, timelines, and internal messages proving who had really done the work. He risked his own job just to honor someone's integrity. Why? Because that person had once stood by him. And in Scorpio's world, you don't forget who held the rope when you were falling. Person Lotus Position Spiritual Reflection. In Buddhist teachings, there's a term, Kalyamita, the spiritual friend. One who walks with you on the path, who does not abandon you in darkness, and who reminds you of your strength when you forget it. Scorpio, when conscious and healthy, becomes the ultimate Kalyamita. Fiercely devoted, endlessly loyal, but never to everyone. Only to those who prove they deserve it. Reason 8. The power of cutting people off without regret. If you betray a Scorpio, you don't get a second chance. There are no long speeches. No passive-aggressive quotes on social media. Just silence, cold, complete, final. When a Scorpio is done, they don't leave doors open. They lock them, set them on fire, and walk away without looking back. This isn't about pettiness. It's about self-respect. Scorpios give so deeply, trust so completely, and love so fiercely that betrayal isn't just painful, it's unforgivable. Once you violate that sacred space, the connection is erased. Not in anger, but in principle. They don't need closure. They're the closure. Broken heart story, the cutoff queen. A former client of mine, a Scorpio woman named Nadine, spent 5 years building a business with her best friend. When she discovered hidden bank withdrawals and tax evasion in her partner's name, she didn't argue. She simply froze the accounts, notified legal counsel, and filed for full ownership. She never spoke her partner's name again. To outsiders, it seemed brutal. But to Scorpio, it was justice, clean, final, and necessary. Person Lotus Position Dharma Insight. The Buddha taught, let go of what is not yours. Let go of what brings you harm. Scorpios embody this wisdom with razor-like clarity. They do not cling to toxic bonds. They do not negotiate with betrayal. When something or someone proves disloyal, they let go so fully, it's as if that person never existed. And that's what makes them dangerous. You may beg. You may apologize. But if their soul has closed that chapter, it will never be reopened. Reason 9. They remember what everyone else forgets. Scorpios have memories like vaults, not just of events, but of details, tone, body language, facial expressions, hesitations. Things most people overlook or forget, Scorpio records. Not out of obsession, but out of preparation. Where others hear what you said, Scorpio remembers what you didn't say and why. This memory isn't only mental. It's emotional. It's energetic. They carry a blueprint of the moment, the feeling in the room, the shift in your eyes, the tremble in your voice. And they don't forget. Not after 1 week. Not after 10 years. This makes them terrifying opponents and indispensable allies. They recall loyalty, kindness, and sacrifice just as sharply as betrayal, manipulation, and lies. If you help them once, they'll remember. If you harm them once, they'll remember. And one day, so will you. Brain Real Story, the archivist of truth. I knew a Scorpio journalist named Malik. In his early career, a colleague sabotaged one of his major stories, cost him a promotion. Malik said nothing. Years passed. That same colleague later ran for public office. Malik remembered, not just the betrayal, but the connections, quotes, and patterns of behavior he quietly documented over time. When the time was right, Malik published a feature expose based entirely on public information, but so brilliantly structured that it unraveled the politician's entire campaign. He didn't exaggerate. He didn't lie. He simply remembered and waited. Person Lotus Position Buddhist Parallel. In Buddhist thought, memory, sati, is part of mindfulness. But in Scorpio's case, memory becomes a form of karmic bookkeeping, a subtle awareness of cause and effect that never loses track. While others let the past drift away, Scorpio honors it, not to relive it, but to understand it fully. They live by the ancient wisdom, you must know the root of suffering to end the cycle of suffering. And for Scorpio, memory is how the cycle is traced. Reason 10, they hold power you never even noticed. There's a reason why Scorpio rarely seeks attention. They don't need to. Their power doesn't shout. It settles. It waits. It wraps itself around situations until suddenly, they're the one everyone turns to for direction, advice, or the final word. Scorpios don't need to control the spotlight. They control what happens in the shadows. While others chase power, Scorpio becomes it. This quiet power makes them natural leaders, crisis managers, and visionaries. In a room full of egos, they remain centered. In chaos, they remain calm. They are the storm's eye, unmoving, unbothered, unshakable. And this unnerves people. Why? Because we fear what we can't read. And Scorpio doesn't broadcast their strategy, they embody it. Candle Real example, the invisible CEO. A Scorpio client of mine ran a multi-million-dollar startup but didn't even list herself on the company website. She let her co-founders take the stage, the credit, and the PR, while she orchestrated funding, hiring, long-term planning, and market entry strategy behind the scenes. When conflict arose among the other co-founders, she remained silent until the very end, when she bought out the rest of the team in a single, calculated acquisition. No one saw her as the face, but she was the foundation, and the empire became hers quietly, completely. Person Lotus Position Zen Viewpoint. The Tao Te Ching says, a leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, they will say, we did it ourselves. Scorpio's spiritual maturity can lead them here. They don't crave credit. They crave results. And they're content watching others claim the fruit, as long as they control the roots. That's the power Scorpio holds, subtle, invisible, but absolute. Reason 11, they win before you even know it's a game. Many people enter situations to explore, experiment, or feel their way through. Not Scorpio. Scorpio arrives prepared. They've scanned the field, assessed the players, understood the rules, and if necessary, rewritten them before you even realized a game was being played. Scorpio doesn't react. They execute. They do not walk into conversations without purpose. They do not engage in conflict without a plan. And they do not confront you without already knowing how you'll respond. Their level of psychological strategy rivals that of generals, therapists, or elite negotiators. And what makes it most dangerous is this: they make it look effortless. While others are still setting the board, Scorpio has already declared checkmate, silently, invisibly, and unshakably. Chess pawn story: the quiet victory. A Scorpio I once mentored, Leah, was part of a non-profit where she was constantly underestimated. She rarely spoke in meetings, never flaunted her skills, and allowed louder, more dominant voices to lead. But over time, she built quiet relationships with board members, donors, and external partners. She solved internal problems privately, helped teammates without asking for credit, and submitted detailed reports that saved the organization thousands, all while remaining under the radar. When the executive director resigned, no one even applied for the role, because they all agreed Leah had been leading the whole time. She didn't ask for power. She became indispensable, and the power found her. Person Lotus Position Spiritual Insight. In Buddhism, there's a concept of non-doing, the art of action through stillness. Scorpio embodies this with their capacity to do less, but accomplish more. Their mastery lies not in aggressive motion, but in hidden momentum, a strategy so refined, it appears effortless. Scorpio knows, true power does not announce itself. It simply moves, and the world follows. Reason 12. They don't forgive. They transform without you. Many signs forgive, forget, or try to reconcile. Scorpio takes a different path. They don't stay to argue. They don't return to explain. They transform, and you're no longer invited. Scorpio doesn't close the door. They build a new house in a new city and leave no forwarding address. This isn't cruelty. It's survival. Scorpios invest so deeply, love so intensely, and trust so fiercely that when you betray them, the fracture isn't just emotional, it's existential. You didn't just break their heart. You broke their vision of what was sacred. And once that vision is gone, so are they, not as punishment, but as truth. Broken heart real example, the vanishing act. There was a Scorpio woman, Teresa, who endured years of emotional manipulation from a partner she loved deeply. When she finally left, she didn't block his number. She changed numbers. She didn't unfriend him. She deleted every shared photo, moved to another city, changed jobs, and reinvented her life. He thought she'd come back. She never even looked back. To Scorpio, the end is not a pause, it's a rebirth. When trust is gone, they don't seek to repair the old. They create something entirely new without you. Person Lotus Position Dharma Reflection. In Buddhist philosophy, detachment is not the absence of love. It is the understanding that true love is not possession. Scorpio's danger and beauty lies in their capacity to let go completely. Once they've learned the karmic lesson, they don't cling to the teacher. They rise, like the phoenix, through flame, ash, and sky, never returning to the ground they once burned. Compass Final Recap. The 12 reasons you should never underestimate a Scorpio. They see through lies like glass. Their revenge is patient, perfect, and permanent. Emotionally indestructible, pain strengthens them. They weaponize suffering into power. Masters of psychological warfare, calm, calculated, deadly. Their silence is strategy, not absence. Loyalty that borders on sacred devotion. If you betray them, they cut you off forever, without regret. They remember what everyone else forgets. They hold invisible power others don't recognize, until it's too late. They win before others even know a game has begun. They don't forgive betrayal, they outgrow it. Candle Final Message. The Phoenix is not here to harm, but to teach. If you've been loved by a Scorpio, cherish it. If you've been challenged by one, reflect on it. If you've lost one, know this: they didn't leave to punish you. They left to protect themselves. And if you are a Scorpio, hear this. You are not dangerous because you are dark. You are dangerous because you see truth in a world that fears it. Use your depth as a force of healing. Use your silence as a temple of peace. Use your power, not to control, but to transform. Because Scorpio, when awakened, isn't just the most dangerous sign in the Zodiac. They are the most necessary. Backhand index pointing right. This is the path to Buddhist wisdom. If you found truth in these words, let them guide your next conversation, your next decision, your next transformation. Remember, in the stillness, the scorpion waits, but in the fire, the phoenix rises. Directed call to action, spoken from the heart. If this video stirred something in you, if you recognized yourself in these words, or you simply admire the unstoppable force of Scorpio energy, then let's keep going deeper together. Glowing stars, subscribe to this channel, The Path to Buddhist Wisdom, because here, we don't just talk about astrology. We awaken ancient truths. We merge mysticism with mastery. And we honor every soul's path to greatness. Hit that bell. Leave a comment. And remember, the most powerful journey is the one within.